Good day, good evening, hello, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Thanksgiving, whatever part of the world you're in. Welcome to Backstage. I'm your host, Mr. Magic. Today, my guest is, and I say this all the time, it seems to be when people come on my show, a very good friend of mine. We've worked in the past together. Mind you, for all the years that we've known each other, we've actually only worked together 2 times, believe it or not, twice. So please give a warm Backstage welcome to my guest today, Miss Patrina O'Connor.
I'm pretending, pretending that
the audience is over there looking at us. So
this is kind of cool. You're right. All the years we've known each other, we've actually only worked together twice.
On the same show.
On the same show, but boy, did we have a good time. It was actually like we had worked together several times before.
Yeah, no, the chemistry definitely did sync up. And from the what people had said after the shows, they came to me after about, you sure you two only worked together this one time? I'm like, yep, it was that one time.
And it's funny because I had never worked with you before, it was like, oh, well, you're going to be working with Mr. Magic. I was like, oh, okay. He's my friend. Cool. Yeah. And they were like, have you ever worked? I'm like, no, but I'm sure we'll be fine. And then we got there and we were like, okay, we're going to do this. And then we just got on stage, and we really didn't even know what we were going to do.
No, it all
realistically, they gave us instructions. And this is the funny part. When people give us instructions, and you're like, okay, I have instructions, and then you get on the stage, and you're like, nah, those instructions ain't going to work.
No, not for what we're about to do. Out the door. We did follow the blueprint. Sort of, but instead of building a 4-foot wall, we had to go up another 3 feet just to make it work.
And the funny part is, right, when we did the show the second time, people were like, you did something different from the other. I said, because we're just freestyling.
No. Somebody actually said the same thing. I said, talking about, you guys went off script. I said, we didn't have a script. That's it. You said, what? No script. We just went with it, and there you have it.
And that's what people don't understand a lot of times, especially with MCing. It's like you kind of get up there in front on the stage in front of people, and you have to read the crowd.
Definitely.
And know exactly what's going to work for that crowd. And sometimes something might be scripted, and you're like, you know what, this is not going to work. Let me try something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most definitely. And it worked out well. I will say, and for seeing you again after this, that was one of the best times I had on stage.
I miss it. Oh my gosh.
With everything that happened there. And again, thanks to Stephen Hines and Loretta and all for getting us on board with that. Yeah, that was awesome. So, we're here now to talk about Patrina. Now, people know your persona as Power Girl, on radio and so forth. But let's draw back. Let's take it back to the early years of Patrina O'Connor, your mom, your family, and how you were in hotels at the age of like 7,
I know.
8.
This is the funny part. A lot of people don't realize that I was a hotel baby. So back in the day, my mom and dad used to sing in a hotel. And also my uncle Charlie Taylor, who's deceased, he actually was the drummer for Gene Steed. So all of my family was basically involved in the entertainment industry. So I was the little 4-year-old, 3-year-old, sitting back in the day at the bar getting the cherries.
Yes, the cherries.
The cherries and the drink. And then it's like, I would be on the dance floor. I mean, that's probably illegal to do so now, but I'm just joking. I would be on the dance floor.
6 years ago at the bar.
Well, not really at the bar, but getting the cherries and drinking the sodas, and then I would know all of the songs, all the old school music, and I would get on the dance floor with my little dresses, because sometimes they wouldn't have a babysitter. So, because my grandmother was working Parakeet back in the day, Gwendolyn Taylor, she was one of the head cooks over at Parakeet.
Oh, okay.
So that was the other thing, in cooking and that type of stuff. Hospitality was our lives, and so I was out there enjoying myself and just getting a taste of it. But the thing that people remember most about me when I was little is that my mouth was no holds bar. I would pretty much...
That hasn't changed.
No, but it has changed somewhat.
Okay,
seriously. So back in the day, like, I would say pretty much anything, like, to anybody.
Yeah.
And
unfiltered.
I was unfiltered, but the other thing that they would know about me, like I was very talkative. Oh Lord, help me. And I also really had a heart for people. So let's say it was somebody in a wheelchair that might have like drool hanging from them or anything like that. I would go over and give them a hug and a kiss. That was me. If I saw somebody hurting, somebody crying, I would always want to gravitate towards those people. So if somebody's
empathy,
but that was always me. Like, even though my mouth was no holds bar, I was always really sympathetic, and that's why my mom always tells people I was always really sympathetic towards people and people's feelings. The other thing is that I think my mom thought I was going to be a veterinarian because I wanted animals. I had chickens, I had rabbits, I had hamsters, I had turtles, I had fish, I had cats, I had dogs. My mom doesn't, and look, she's going to be mad at me for saying this, my mom doesn't really like animals. She doesn't like pets.
Okay.
All right.
She's not an animal hater.
She does not like them.
I got you. Okay.
But she allowed me to be who I was, and that was, I loved animals. So we had a very colorful childhood, and she used to get mad a lot at me because, animals do things in the house and do things outside of the house and rip up stuff. Yeah. But that was just me.
Did you have chickens?
When I first started, yes, I did.
Did you chase chickens around the yard?
That was when I was probably like 5 or 6.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
No, I say that because, again, my lifestyle growing up was a farm area.
Yeah.
We had all the animals there as well, horses, cows, chickens, goats, pigs. And we used to chase the chickens around because chickens became Sunday dinner. This is what a lot of people didn't realize. But here's the thing. You learn something when you grow up with animals. Don't name the animals because they will eventually be food. And I used to chase the chickens, and my mom said to me one day, "Stop playing with your food." Okay. Okay.
Well,
that's what happens. They get harvested. Where do you think Purdue comes from?
I know.
You want to know that part?
I know, and that's I try to remove myself from that. But I do have this, like, I love animals. I but like I was saying, like earlier, it was I always cared about people. And to me, sometimes that's a big flaw because I really sometimes care too much.
No, I see where you're coming from with that, but I disagree. You can't care too much. If you have a loving heart and truly have a loving heart, it's going to spill over. And that's sharing. Because what happens is when you're in your circle and you have that joy enveloping you, you then decide who gets inside that circle to share that joy.
Which is true.
And you let them in.
Which is true.
Someone else comes, you let them in because you feel that same way. But as soon as negativity shows up, all negativity wants to do is split that joy apart. Negativity does not like happiness being spread.
Right.
You have that overflowing. Your cup overflows with joy, so you spread it. Hey, spread it. Why not?
I think that, like, growing up, I was, I used to sing with my mom. At the age of 3, there was this video. I don't know how I even got on there, but I think like Rick Richardson maybe and his brother, I think Out of Sight. It was a few people, maybe it was Out of Sight, but there was a televised program. And I don't know how I got on this program, but I was singing When a Child is Born. And I think my mom might still have a copy of this.
Oh, wow.
And I'm singing this song, and I'm like 3, 4. I don't really know what the words are. So it's all a dream, hallelujah now. It's up to you, your own solid ground. And then here I am poking my nose. And I mean, it was cute. And then I'm digging up my nose on live TV. And my mom was so like, but, I'm a child, right? And then after that, it was like, when it came to school, like nursery school plays and stuff, I would be involved in it. When it came to singing, they started to say, she sounds like she has a bit of a voice. And then when I turned, I think it was 8 years old, my mom was getting ready to perform for this because my mom's always been a singer.
Yes.
And she actually went into the church, so she wasn't singing in hotels anymore, and she was in the church. And it was a gospel concert, and she was preparing for it. And apparently something happened to the person she was supposed to be singing this song with. And I said, Mom, I can sing it with you. She's like, Patrina, please. I was like, I know it's right to say thank God. She was like, huh? And then it was this like high note where it was like, thank God, or something like that. And she was like, hold up, let's try to do it together. So I'll never forget, I want to say, I don't know if it was First Church or Heritage Worship Center, if it was around back then, I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember all the way back, but I know it was this huge gospel concert. And here it is, little small Patrina, and they say, Pat and Patrina O'Connor. And little small me walks up the stage with my mom, maybe it was at St. Paul's. Look, I've got a bad memory.
No problem.
And I got up there, and they were looking like, okay. And then I started singing. And they were like, and then I struck a high note or something, and everybody stood to their feet. And after that, I promise you, every weekend, I was probably singing with my mom. I was singing all over the place. I've traveled, sang everywhere. And then afterwards, I was in primary school then. And I started trying out for school plays. I was Maria in The Sound of Music, Hark the Herald Angel, and Hark the Herald Angel.
You were Hark. You were Hark.
It was Hark. Don't laugh. I was Hark. But it's like, you know, like I was so dramatic. I was one of those Disney girls, like, you know, like I would be home. The hills are alive, like singing.
Julie Andrews,
but obviously in my own. But I would just like, and Annie. You know, I would, It's a hard knock life for us. I was so animated and dramatic. So it was like, my mom was like, okay, and everybody was like, she's made for the TV. So school plays. But what would happen with all of that is that other young people started to not like me. Because to them, I was a show off. Right. To them, I was the person that was pushing themselves out there. But in actual fact, this is just who I am.
Yeah.
I was not sports inclined. I was always told that I had the legs of a runner. But put me out there to run, and I came last. I was the last to be picked on every team.
I think that's what made the balance of people that didn't like you. They're like, okay, well, she can't do this. Just all right then. She's the star on stage. She can't do sports. You know, and I can see it now. They got the line up and the picking teams. You knew you were going to be last.
I was last.
And the people that were standing there looking at each other, you take her. No, you take her.
I was that person. They never wanted me.
I'm so sorry, but
it was hard.
You had all the talents, though. And
I did.
Not everybody. I had a talk with a school some time back. Actually 2 years ago, prior to the pandemic.
Not sports inclined at all.
And I had, and in my conversation with the school, with the class, the parents and everything, I put out there, you all need to understand something. Your daughter, and I said to a lady, ma'am, your daughter may not be the lawyer you think she wants to be. She might want to be on stage.
Yep.
You don't know this. You know, you push your children to doctors, lawyers, whatever, you know, the high up, you know, educations and all that.
Yep.
Where in actual fact, he might just be the guy that, look, I just want to sweep these streets, or I want to be a trash truck driver. Because back in the day, it wasn't a pleasant thing to be a trash truck worker.
Right.
Nowadays, people are running for that job.
You know, it was so funny because even with my son, like, he said that he wanted to get into marine mechanics, and somebody was like, why you want to be a mechanic for? I'm like, you don't see the vision.
Yeah.
I said, he can be a mechanic and be the best mechanic and be so happy and passionate about his job that he formulates his own business, that it goes on to something even bigger. I said, so don't ever think small when someone gives you their dream, because you never know where that can lead for them.
Exactly.
And so for me, you know, I'll never forget this, and this was in high school days. One of my teachers was like, you know, I got in trouble for talking in class, and that was just a regular thing for me because honestly, I just can't keep still.
Right.
And I know that. I don't know if I'm ADD, ADHD, you know, back in that day.
You got all the alphabet.
You know, but back in the day, you know, they didn't really, you know, identify.
They didn't identify
They didn't
know about dyslexia and
alternative learning
and all that.
So for example, I'm terrible at mathematics.
Yeah.
You give me a sum and I'm like, but reading
fingers and toes.
Fingers and toes. But reading a book for me, like I was reading very, very early, and I can read a novel, a couple of 100 pages in a day. Like I can sit there and just read.
Yeah.
I love to read. I get immersed.
That's like a lost art nowadays.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of people are not picking up books to read. It's unfortunate that I've seen in some situations where books are being discarded. They're actually being thrown away because people are like, well, I've got my iPad or I've got my phone, I've got it right here. It's a difference when you're turning a page.
Let me explain something to you. The smell of a book. The feel of a book. It's like, oh. But then when I tried the iPad and I did it for a bit, but
remember it started out with Kindle. You can read on Kindle.
Yeah.
People were like, well, I can read on Kindle, and they got the book sitting right there. It's like,
I have the Kindle, but
pick up the book.
There's nothing like a book.
Yeah. All right. So we've basically come through your early years, going up to high school. We're going to take a break right now, and when we come back, we're going to go beyond high school, and folks, we're going to talk about how this young lady's voice blew up the airwaves. We'll be back, more Backstage, right after this.